Well, welcome in our good friend Jonathan Marshall at John_Marshall3, a hoophead, as you guys already know, sports reporter, anchor at WMUR in New Hampshire. And I guarantee you he is freezing his little tushy off there. What's going on, brother?
Hugh, let me tell you, it was 30 degrees today, right? And I was elated because yesterday it didn't get over 10 degrees yesterday.
Horrible.
So 30 degrees, it was a mild 30 degrees out here today, man. Sunny. It was a nice day to go for a walk, nice little stroll.
Yeah.
Beautiful day today. Beautiful day, man.
Yeah, yeah, right. As you say that with the sarcasm coming out. Hey, man, I forewarned you, but you know what? You know, you young guys think you know better than us old heads. You don't listen. I'm sorry. All right. Hey, by the way, great call on the Chicago Bulls, man. Seriously, you were all over that prior to season, along with Cleveland. And right now, they're both sitting 1-6 respectively in the Eastern Conference. What do you attribute the Bulls' success to early on? They won 9 out of their last 10, 27 up and 11 down right now.
Well, I mean, obviously, the two biggest changes are adding DeMar DeRozan and Lonzo Ball. So Zach LaVine, he's been one of the better scorers in the league over the past couple of years, right? We know what he's capable of, right? But then you add DeMar DeRozan to ease that load, and I think DeMar DeRozan, obviously, you know, in Toronto, we know the situation out there. You know, they traded, you know, they got Kawhi and they won a championship, and so DeMar has to live with that, right? But DeMar was never. This goes back into guys being in their right role. DeMar was never meant to be that franchise guy, but now I think being the elder statesman in Chicago sort of right now, and just his style of play, the mid-range king in the league right now, it blends perfectly. And so Zach LaVine doesn't have to shoulder that load. You can give a guy like DeMar DeRozan, like he had a run toward the end of 2021 where he had back-to-back game winners. So, you know, DeMar DeRozan is a guy who you can just give him the rock and create and get a bucket. And LaVine's to have two guys like that, that's a deadly combination. Lonzo Ball, the constant point guard, right? Defending. He's even stepped up his shooting, right? So I think Lonzo has found his perfect home after bouncing from L.A. into New Orleans. Now he's in a backcourt that you have a DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine. Vucevic is putting up points. I don't really have to score. I can just play my game, which is defend and be a facilitator. And, oh, yeah, I can knock down some shots now as well. Getting Alex Caruso. I've watched a few of their games. Caruso is such a game changer for those guys. When he's out there on the floor, he gets his hands on the ball. He's rebounding. He's hustling. He just does things that you can't account for. And so for me, I look at those additions in addition to what they already had with the Nikolai Vucevic and the Zach LaVine. For me in the Eastern Conference, I said, look, if this team can easily be a top 4 team in the Eastern Conference. Like, to say, you know, I expect them to do this well, number one in the East over Brooklyn, no, but I expected them. I said, look, if they're not a playoff team, it's a disappointment. Yeah. Like, to me, it was playoffs or bust. And so what they're doing right now is special. DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine is just, I think that's the perfect duo right there. So now Chicago is very, it's an exciting team to watch. And look, Eastern Conference Finals, maybe a Finals appearance, I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, interesting, right? And they can score, too. I mean, you look at DeRozan putting up 26. I mean, you can say right now he's having a career year, and it's amazing all those years with Toronto and then obviously San Antonio now with this young Bull squad. And then you've got the Nets, Miami, Milwaukee, the 76ers. How about the 76ers? 7 straight. And listen, I see you tweet a lot about this with Embiid. I mean, we know just how great Embiid is and how great he can be. And I got to, listen, I'll give credit where credit is due, man, because now I just don't think the Simmons thing is a distraction. I just think they're just going about their business and they're just playing. And that's what you have to do sometimes, right? You just kind of put it out of the memory bank, so to speak. But do you still believe that even without Simmons on the floor, this team is better, A, and then B, can they compete really and contend in the Eastern Conference? I feel like I ask you this all the time, or you still believe it's going to be the Nets and the Bucks?
I still see the Nets. I give respect to the Bucks as, I mean, they are the defending champs, right? And Chicago's up there for me as well. Miami will be a challenge, but for me, it's still Brooklyn, Chicago, Milwaukee as far as the upper tier of the Eastern Conference. With Philly, I'm high on Embiid. You know that. Like, what he's doing is amazing. He's playing at an MVP level once again. But at a certain point in time, my big question, once again, we're hearing rumors about Tobias Harris being involved in trade talks. as Tobias Harris as your number 2 option, can you rely on him when it matters the most? And that's the biggest question. Come playoff time, Embiid is going to do what he does, but Tobias is going to have to step up at a certain point in time, and I just can't trust it. Like, you got to have some level of shot creation for for others and for themselves. You got to have that outside of Maxey. They don't have that right now. That dynamic playmaking ability from the perimeter that can complement Joel Embiid. Like, you see what Chicago has in DeRozan and Levine. You see what Brooklyn has with Kyrie and KD and Harden. Milwaukee, they have Giannis, so he does whatever he wants out there on the court. But they have shot makers in Chris Middleton or Drew Holiday who can drive and attack the basket. Outside of Maxey, who's really putting pressure on that defense in a dynamic way?
No one. And,
from the perimeter. Obviously, Embiid is, from the post, Embiid is a beast.
Yes,
but perimeter-wise, Maxey is the only guy that you have that a defense that, okay, we got to account for this guy. Tobias Harris, I'm just not sensing it. I don't feel it.
That's probably why they're, the rumors out there with him being packaged with Ben Simmons. I mean, that's a horrible contract, but it is what it is. Sixers laying 5 tonight at home against the Hornets. Celtics and the Pacers. Pacers laying 2 in the hook, 2.5. Then you got the Heat. Real good team thus far this year, 25-15. I still am shocked by the troubles and the struggles of the Atlanta Hawks, man. And I don't really buy in this. Well, it's kind of like that hangover like in the Super Bowl. But here's a team that's dropped 2 in a row. I think 7 out of their last 9. They just I watched enough of them where I'm like, it's just, again, careless, sloppy basketball. I think they're you're putting so much pressure on Trae Young. He can't go out there every single night and pump in 28, 30, 35 points. When you start to see that, I mean, think about it. He's had some really bad shooting performances, too, and they typically lose those games.
Yeah. I mean, with Atlanta, their slide, you can also, when you look at the standings, like, it's also a result of other teams getting better, right? Cleveland has gotten better. Charlotte is a playoff team right now, right? And so you have Cleveland and Charlotte stepping up, taking away 2 spots. Somebody has to fall off, and we're seeing the Knicks and Atlanta right now, 2 teams that made the playoffs and played each other. They're not in the playoff picture right now. So, that's the result of teams like Cleveland getting better, Chicago getting better, Charlotte getting better, and all those teams. I look at those teams, and there's an identity there. Like, they're not relying on one person. Like, there's a flow about how they attack things on offense. With Atlanta, you know what it is. It's Trae Young. And it's living and dying by Trae Young and hoping other guys step up. But other guys haven't taken that next leap when it comes to that. But I think you got to give credit to Cleveland, Charlotte, and Chicago for taking that next step and guys, really getting better and stepping their games up. Look at Charlotte. Obviously, the Melo Ball special, but Miles Bridges has improved his game by a lot. So these teams have making improvements. Cleveland with Jared Allen and Mobley, Darius Garland stepping his game up, having veterans like a Kevin Love and Ricky Rubio, who's now hurt. But those things count. And so you look at Atlanta. What moves did they make, or what individual improvements have they made in the offseason? I don't know. Compared to the teams that I just mentioned, you can see it's clear with Chicago, it's clear with Cleveland, it's clear with Charlotte. But what specific improvements, whether from players or overall team structure, has Atlanta made? They just ran it back pretty much, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it kind of goes to my next point when we talk about running it back. And we know Golden State has dealt with a ton of injuries over the last several years. And, of course, they trip up, I would say, against your Grizz last night on the road, 116-108. I'm sure we'll talk about them in a moment, but they've dropped 3 out of 4. So, listen, we know the NBA is a long season, man. You're going to have your ups and downs. They get back Thompson. Do you still, when you look at Phoenix, you look at Golden State 1-2 in the Pacific right now, the Lakers are absolutely done, man. They are shot. And so are the Clippers, by the way. 10.5, 11.
Yeah.
Those two, they're done. See ya. Have a good winter, and we'll talk to you next fall. Are the Warriors still the team to beat? Because I know you are, when we talk about Phoenix, I know you're kind of with the Phoenix and the Utahs of the world, but what's your thoughts on Golden State, even though they got this little recent skid?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's a long season, Q, and I think the Warriors, obviously the whole Steph Curry 3-point record, that was a big thing, that was a big storyline. I think he got that out the way, and Steph hasn't been, I've watched a few games lately, he's putting up points, but he hasn't really been the stuff that we're used to seeing cooking, right? He's missed some layups, some easy threes, and this team is overall, they're not shooting like we're expecting a Golden State Warriors team to shoot, but I expect that. I expected to level out eventually. And Klay Thompson, I think, obviously they're trying to implement him in and get his shots up and get his minutes going. So it's going to take a few games for Klay to really get into his rhythm, but I still think this team is going to be a well-oiled machine by the time the playoffs run. Obviously Phoenix will be respected. They made the finals last year. I have to respect it, but with Golden State, with what I've seen pre-Klay and what I think they can be with Klay and possibly James Wiseman, I think Golden State still is the team to beat. And Phoenix is right behind them. Utah, it's the same case last year, Q. What did I tell you?
Yep.
They do the same thing every regular season. I can't believe until they do it in the playoffs. They're good for one series win, and that's it. And they're the same team. I just don't know what difference a year has made for them, outside of experience. And I just can't. I can't buy Utah. I just can't do it.
No, they're kind of like the Atlanta Braves in the '90s up until they went in it this past October. All right. Before I let you get out of here, you can wax poetic about Memphis. I wrote them for 4 games with some winning tickets, and then I stopped. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. So obviously I didn't back my play and take my own advice, the title of my own freaking show. But now they won 10 in a row. Go ahead, wax poetic about your Grizz.
Oh, man. Q, so, I came from Memphis before moving up here to Manchester. So I covered Ja, I covered his rookie year and his second year. And so just seeing the evolution of Ja's star and how the national media now is gravitating toward him, you could see those seeds early on being planted, just his energy and his ability to uplift others. And so we're seeing that. He's talking trash like he's not backing down, and it's emboldening his teammates. And one thing I will say this, I got to give kudos to their front office. Desmond Bain was one of the last picks in the first round, one of the best shooters. He's the perfect backcourt mate to Ja. Zaire Williams, their rookie. I questioned that pick, but he's starting to come along. Jaren Jackson's been solid. Tyus Jones, one of the best backup point guards in the league. DeAnthony Melton, a solid backup guard. Kyle Anderson, Brandon Clark, they can plug and play a lot of these guys, and they have an identity. And it starts with Ja, but these other guys aren't afraid. You can tell the confidence growing in what they did last night. I didn't even mention Dylan Brooks, Q. He's one of the better players defensively, especially. Sometimes offensively, he can be a huge boost, and they were missing him yesterday. And so this is a team that's just growing in confidence. And to say that they can make the Western Conference Finals to me isn't far fetched. When you look at what they're doing right now, 10 wins in a row, that's not a fluke. And John Morant is a superstar. AI is my guy. You know that, right? I grew up rooting for AI and watching AI. I've never watched a player and say, he reminds me so much of AI. He just does. They're both 6 foot, 6'1", 165, soaking wet. They can get to the lane whenever they want, but also they can carry a franchise. They can uplift an entire locker room. And what Ja's doing with that cast of players that he has, he's uplifting their level of play as well. And that's what AI did to, especially that finals run in 2001.
Oh, yeah.
What AI did for that franchise, Ja's having that same impact for the city of Memphis. It's special. It's special.
We carried a bunch of nobodies. No disrespect to the McKees and Snows of the world, but come on, man. And they jumped out.
And Ja's supporting cast is better.
Yeah, and they jumped out to that great start. I think they were undefeated the first 8 or 9, 10, 11 games to start that season. You mentioned Brooks played really well both sides, both ends of the floor. Now, they got to deal with a little bit of an issue with him, right? He'll be about 3 to 5 weeks with that sprained left ankle. But, yeah, I'm going to start. I think I'm going to play Memphis a little more. All right, listen, I got about 30 seconds. Go ahead. You can gloat on your Philadelphia Eagles and rub it in my face. I
was going to say it's wild card weekend, and look, get your popcorn. At least you can. Look, I hate for you not to be involved this weekend, and I hate that you got to just sit back and watch. But look, you won't be stressed out. You won't be stressed out. So, are you rooting for the Eagles against Tom Brady? Come on.
Wait, what?
Are you rooting for the Eagles against Tom? Do you want Tom to win or the Eagles to win?
How long have you known me?
Wow, you're rooting for Tom Brady. Okay.
Hold on. How long have you known me? I don't even wear the freaking color green.
If it was me, I would root for Tom Brady too. So I don't blame. I would rather have Brady win than the Giants win. I rooted for the Patriots against the Giants in Super Bowl both times.
I hope it snows for the next 6 months. I don't appreciate you trolling at me saying now I just need a quarterback.
You do. I mean, look, you got rid of a coach. We got to get a coach in there, okay? We got to get a good, competent coach. And now the quarterback. Look, don't draft quarterbacks from Duke University. That's just a lesson, right? That's all I'm saying.
You know, you guys, I try to groom you, and then you guys get cocky and arrogant years later. And I got to be honest, I love it. All right, pal. I appreciate you. Good luck against Tampa Bay. We'll talk next week.
I appreciate you.
All right, you got it. My guy, Jonathan Marshall, great stuff. 4:33, quick timeout.